Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be reacting to hamster cages on Pinterest. I did a video like this probably a year ago, I would say. I think it was about a year ago. So I'm going to do a part 2 to that video. It wasn't a really popular video. It's not really why I'm doing another one. I guess I just kind of enjoyed reacting to them. Also, I have been scrolling on Pinterest. I like to scroll on Pinterest to get some inspo for my own hamster cages as well. And I'm actually really pleased to find that unlike the last time I went on Pinterest, the majority of the cages are really good hamster cages. Let's get into reacting. So this is the first hamster cage that we have here. I really like how big the cage is, as well as it has some really cute and pretty sprays around the cage. I also really like the kind of mushroom theme with the mushroom heart and the mushrooms on the actual cage, which is really cute. Also, there is a lot of cork logs. I can see this one, and grapevine wood, I think that is. So yeah, overall I just really like this cage. So this is the next cage that we have here. The first thing I will say about it is it looks pretty tiny, as well as that it is pretty tall. However, the bedding depth is just not enough, and really you could have the opportunity to fill it up more. Also, the wheel at the bottom level does not look big enough at all. Also, in some of the accessories like the seesaw and the swing, there's these little slits which could potentially mean that it can get a hamster's foot stuck in it. So I definitely would try removing that. Overall, I would add more things, more bedding depth and a bigger cage. So I rate this cage a 5 out of 10. So this is the next cage. I want to start off by saying I absolutely love this cage. It looks like they've taken a wire lid from another cage maybe and added a deeper base, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm pretty sure this is a DIY, and I love how much bedding there is in there and how there's burrows in there. I can't see the overall kind of top angle of it, but it does look pretty good, and I can see the wheel on this side looks pretty suitable. So I'm gonna have to give this cage a 10 out of 10. So this is the next cage that we have. It looks to be a wire enclosure because I can see little bars on the side of it. It also looks to be an appropriate size, and I'm pretty sure it's above the bare minimum. I also love the little pops of colour, like the little hearts and the DIY things. I can also see that there is a pretty big wheel in there, and there's a lot of different substrates in there. I can see hay, I think that's like cocoa chips maybe, and moss. And I can also see there's a bit of like a bridge there, and they've covered the little holes up with moss, which is really nice. I can't really see how much bedding depth there is, but overall I'm going to rate this cage a 9 out of 10. So here we have the next cage. So this is a bin cage, and it looks pretty spacious. I can see an appropriately sized wheel, what looks to be a multi-chamber hideout, and I think that's grapevine wood, and I can see there's a little bit of cocoa fibre in the corner, which is nice for different textures, and I can see that they're using paper bedding. Also, I like how they have a pretty big sandbath, I would say, in the corner there. The only thing I will say is I do see just a little food dish in the corner or on the multi-chamber hideout, and I would kind of recommend scatter feeding. It just gives more enrichment for your hamster. My overall rating is 8 out of 10, and I do think that it is a pretty nice cage to take inspiration from and use for your own bin cages if you are struggling setting them up. So the next cage that we have here I also quite like. Again, I can see a pretty large wheel, a lot of substrates, and some cute hideouts like the pumpkin hideout, and I like how they have included some burrow starters and the kind of peekaboo hideout. I also like that it's pretty crowded, and especially if you have a shy hamster, crowding the cage can help a lot with that. And I'm pretty sure the cage is either one of those DIY cages or I think the IKEA Liminen ones. Also, something that a lot of the other cages didn't have is sprays and things like that. So I can see a few sprays around the cage. And again, the bedding depth is great. So I'm going to give this cage a 9 out of 10. So here is the next cage that we have. It looks to be a kind of fish tank style enclosure, and I do like the kind of Hello Kitty theme. I think it's really cute. Depending on the type of hamster that lives in here, the wheel does look suitable. I'm assuming it's around an 8, 9 or even 10-inch wheel, and that would probably be suitable for over a Brusky, Russian Dwarf, Snow White Dwarf. One thing I will say is definitely put more bedding depth in the cage. And also I would definitely upgrade at some point, because yes, the cage isn't that tiny, but it is still kind of tiny, so I would definitely recommend upgrading. However, I do like they're using kind of DIY things, so they have some toilet paper tubes and there's a little bowl of shredded up cardboard, I think that is, to just give different textures. And I know there is a section of the cage that has more bedding, but even that is really not deep enough, and I would really would recommend putting more depth of bedding throughout the whole entire cage, especially because it is a kind of aquarium style cage, and you could definitely do that. Overall, I'm giving this cage a 6 out of 10. So here is our next cage. It is a bin cage, and I actually quite like this one. So I can see they have a little puzzle playground and some other little tubes. However, if you do have a Syrian, then I would recommend getting bigger tubes, because I'm pretty sure a Syrian would not be able to fit through that. Also, I love how many little DIY things there are. I can see the little hut and the bridge and the ladder. The only thing I will say is the wheel looks a bit tiny. I don't know exactly how big the wheel is, but for a Syrian and Chinese hamster, I probably would get a bigger one. I would also probably add just some different textures and sprays, herbs, maybe even toilet paper for nesting around the cage. Other than that, I am going to give this cage a 7 out of 10. So this is the last cage that we have here. Again, it is a bin cage, and I can see that it has some tunnels, a wheel that looks large enough. I can see that little yellow hut in the corner looks pretty cute. A water bottle. I can see one of those little like platform bowls, so you can use as a hut kind of things, a few different huts, and I think I can see some substrates in the little bowl and the jar. Overall, I really have nothing against this cage. Again, the usual things I normally say: more sprays, herbs, enrichment kind of thing, etc. Even just kind of crowding the cage a bit more. But really, I would only say add more bedding for burrowing. Overall, I rate this cage a 6 out of 10. So guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I do definitely have a lot more hamster cages that I found on Pinterest that I would like to react to. So comment down below if you think there should be a part 3, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.